What is up, YouTube? Jankyygo here. My name is Michael. We're back with the podcast. As you can see, you actually have something to look at this time, because we're going to talk about Tenpai Dragons, the branded support, and at the time of us recording it, the brand new news that literally came out today of how registration will be for regionals and stuff like that moving forward in the TCG. But first, let's start out with something a little more easier to talk about. Well, I have my opinions on the other thing, but we'll get to that. Uh, Senpai Dragon of Genroku is a level 3 fire dragon effect. You can only use the first and second effect once returned if it's added to your hand, except by drawing it. You can special summon it as a tuner. Then you can increase its level by 1. Quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon one Tenpai Dragon from your deck except itself. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon uh, for the rest of the turn except Dragon Monsters. This card adds even more consistency to the OTK machine that is Tenpai Dragons. Uh, I'm not sure yet if this deck is going to be meta or not. I know it's doing well over in the OCG, but I still have my reservations about it here.
Mech C formats are pretty interesting in what you can and can't run.
Yeah, yeah. This card though is like really good because out of all out of the three Tenpai dragons that were shown before this card, the other three were two of them were starters or and everything because one got you the other one and one let you OTK. This helps you do that again, so it's another way to make sure you get the one card OTK. So that's pretty
That's
cool.
pretty neat.
We'll talk about the trap card that some people say is busted, some people isn't. But we'll figure it out while but we'll talk about it right now because it's Sangjin Kaiho. These names are all going to be changed once they come over to TCG, probably. During the main phase of all monsters you control are fire dragons, minimum one, and your opponent controls more monsters than you in this main phase. If three or more monsters declare an attack this turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, draw one card, then special summon any number of 10 Pi Dragon monsters from your hand. Now, um, this card, in my opinion, is a little bit harder to evaluate because, on one hand, it does just move it through the main phase, and if you have this plus the field spell, they aren't going to be able to get rid of your monsters very easily. Um, so you can probably just end their main phase and force them into battle. The second effect is good as well for the deck. Problem is it is a trap card, and this deck is like 100% OTK, and in the OCG they're 100% OTK as well. But uh, the difference is they're running like 30 hand trap or like 20 something hand traps, maybe more. That's how they're uh dealing with everything is they're just running every hand trap under the sun and Pot of Prosperity. Whereas when I built it, I built like kaijus. I played like 9 or 10, 9 to 12 hand traps, and then all the board breakers. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
Like, because we'll go probably more towards board breaker rather than hand trap.
yeah.
So it might do something.
I know that when we played, you were like, you're like this deck I actually is like really hard to deal with because I'm putting up negates and you're just outing my board and then attacking me and winning. But what I think about this card in particular is that if they have the field spell, this card becomes kind of an issue. If they don't have the field spell, this card is easy to deal with. and for the trap card.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I don't know if it's. We'll have to wait and see. We haven't even gotten the first wave of support, let alone the second, which is what we're talking about. But we're gonna move on to a cute little card called Dora Draw. It looks like a little Poke Dragon, and it is a level 3 fire effect. If it's normal summoned, you can add one fire or lower, or one level 4 lower, not fire. One level 4 lower fire dragon from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can excavate cards from the top of your deck. If it is a fire dragon, send it to the graveyard. This card gains 1,000 attack for each Dora Draco you currently control. Otherwise, place it. Place the excavated card on the bottom of your deck.
Oh.
So it, at the very least, can get you this card right here. Will probably also be played in the Tenpai Dragon deck. Not only is it a searcher for the deck, but if you search the card I talked about up above, that if it's added to your hand in a way that isn't drawing it, it special summons itself and then it like lone fires for one of the other ones. You can easily do your whole OTK, and it will add even more consistency to the deck. I think this deck is possibly making its way looking like it might actually be consistent, like a consistent OTK machine. Once again, whether it actually does anything over here in the TCG or not, remains to be seen. I think that as in general, the way that TCG and OCG plays are so differently because of Max C and the philosophy and everything, that while this deck does amazing over there, because it doesn't matter if they Max C you, you're gonna OTK them through that anyway. They're not gonna get another turn. Uh, is kind of like interesting to think about. There's so many cards that counter this deck that it's really hard to put in perspective whether it'll be good or not. Because those cards, you can make the argument that those cards might not be the best either. Threatening Roar is a card, for example. So is Battle Fader, Swift Scarecrow. These are cards that will just end the battle phase, and these things are only unaffected during the main phase one. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There are cards, there are things, and if we have to play Battle Fader, maybe we will one and everything, but I doubt it'll come to that. But we're gonna move on to talk about new Brandon support.
Oh, fun.
It is Dogmatica Calamity Alba System. It's a Dragon Fusion effect, Dark, level 8, 4,500 attack, 2,500 defense. It requires Fallen of Albaz plus 6 monsters in your graveyard with different names. Now, the original leak version said they had to mention Fallen of Albaz. They don't. They just need different names. So, what does this card do?
Oh. Oh.
If this card can attack all monsters, all opponents' monsters once each, you must send one card from your extra deck to the grave to declare an attack with this card once per turn. If fusion summoned this fusion summoned monster, if you control the fusion summoned monster, and have 6 or more fusion monsters in the grave with different names that mention Fallen of Albaz, you can send all cards in both players' extra deck to the graveyard. Now, here's the thing. Is it easy to summon? I don't know. I don't think so. But, at least not in traditional branded builds, I don't think it's that easy to summon. I might be wrong, I'm not a branded player. But, I think in branded tier, this card is very easy to summon. Downside about branded tier is it's not as good as just forest tier lament. So keep that in mind. Secondly, while you would rip their whole extra deck from them with this card, that sounds nuts. However, there's a high chance that you're probably winning before that effect goes off. Because if you're attacking all your opponent's monsters and stuff like that with this card, and you're getting that many Fallen of Albaz mentioned fusions in the graveyard, I don't think they're gonna be alive for it. And if they are, I'd be really impressed. But that's just me.
Yes. It would be impressive.
Uh, because like I don't know, it just seems like a win more card because uh because you're already attacking them with a 4500 like a million times. So I don't see that effect really being a benefit. That's just
Yeah.
it's big. It's 4500 attack and it can attack everything. So if you get
If you
put
pull it off, I mean, you deserve to win.
you probably are going to win. Like that the only reason you would go for this is probably just to win. All right. Uh we'll talk about the product it comes in, I guess, and then we're going to talk about the real thing, the big thing. So, uh it's just official. There's 202 cards that come in this quarter century secret rare reprints and stuff like that. New Dogmatic. It's just it talks about the new Dogmatica card. Um binder sleeve, etc. It's like it comes in its own neat little product. So for OCG. We'll probably get it in something else because we don't get these cool things. Anyway, now let's talk about the important official tournament registration. Dear Duelist, we have a change to announce regarding official tournament registration. From July 2024, Duelists will only be able to register the ID as displayed in Neuron. By this date, we will phase out uh, KCGN ID cards, formerly known as Classy ID. For those of you who have been using Neuron until now, you will have seen continued improvements to tournament functionality, such as being able to submit your deck list for the tournament you've been competing in. In addition to this, you will also add additional protection to your personal data, or it will. So what this is saying is from July 2024 on, if you play an official sanctioned event, you will be forced to use Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron to register. This includes OTS stores, even for locals, regionals, YCS, uh, any the WCQs, and of course, probably World.
That makes sense.
So there is a lot of interesting things about this change. A little bit more on it. So to register future events, you got to make sure you have Neuron. Make sure you have your linked account. Navigate the data section of the app in order to do this and click Konami/card game ID. If you see nickname/edit account details, you've already linked your account, so you don't have to worry about that. If you see link to Konami ID or register new Konami ID, you do not have a linked account. So keep that in mind if you are just downloading the app for the first time. We recommend you ensure you have register when you. We recommend you register. Ensure you have uh included your details in your Konami account. That's the way it's worded. It's really kind of awkward. Uh, this may be required to claim tournament entry, such as events that require qualifications, and claim tournament prizing. This may be used for, prize shipping. So, like, there are ones, for example, where I think there's YCSs and WCQs. Occasionally, you can win, like, the Rush Duel game for Switch. So sometimes they might have to, they'll ship it out to you or whatever. It just depends. Like, for example, ensure you only enter with one ID for events. Some tournaments may require you to be able to present the correct ID to claim entries, such as WCQs, or award points, such as events which award world qualifying points. It is important that you use only one ID when entering the events, as it will not be possible to combine points from July 2024 earned over multiple accounts. We recommend you always link your Konami ID. Thank you for your support of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Stefan, what do you think about these changes?
I am currently fiddling with it on my phone to make sure everything is great. And it's not. So,
Uh,
it's still showing my old Konami ID card number on here, even though I have linked it up to the Neuron. So,
I mean, that's fine as long as like my old one is connected to it too and everything, the one that's going to expire. So it's fine because it's already put onto Neuron and I already have all my stuff and I made sure everything like that. I didn't
yeah.
link it to my Master Duel or my Duel Links account because I was like, nah, I
But
don't plan on.
my concern is I really want to be able to keep playing events.
Yeah,
Now this is causing a lot of. I get it that they're going through this whole new system thing, but you know, now I have to double check everything is great.
I double
And
checked everything this morning. It is pretty interesting. The it forces people to have a smartphone, which I've seen some people complain about, but the thing is that like that's most people have a smartphone, and if you don't have a smartphone and it's not for like personal reasons, like you just don't want one or like I don't know, you're just trying to live like, you know, without it and stuff like that.
off the grid.
Kinda. Well, off the grid doesn't necessarily mean like you wouldn't like have a smartphone or anything. It just would be like you're not on like a city's power system or a water system. But or like a town or something like that. It'd be like living like literally like in the woods. Uh
Yeah.
but most people have them and they're almost a necessity nowadays anyway. uh, Having access to the internet is almost a necessity. Not because you need it to like breathe or for entertainment, but even if to get a job, you pretty much need a to have internet unless you know people, like you know a guy that has his own business or can hire you and stuff like that. But like, it's it's just one of those things that like that the people complaining about that, I feel like it's so negligible that like that part is negligible. My only issue is, and this is something that kind of popped up, is in my brain is that like I, if there's something technical that goes wrong, if you forget to charge your phone, right, like the night before you forget to charge it, or you don't have a car charger on your way there and your phone dies and stuff like that, can't register and you have to wait to charge it and everything. If you happen to be running late because of traffic, that might also become cause issues. As far as submitting
Yeah.
deck lists for tournaments, I could see that going either way, as if you and everything. I would love the idea of me being able to put my deck list in on my phone and just submitting it that way. without me having to write everything because my handwriting is really bad. But I could also see issues coming from that if, say, there's a bug in the system, or say you happen to play slightly different versions of the deck and everything, um,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It could cause all kinds of issues. I do think, though, overall, I don't think this change is going to be as bad as people think it is. I just think that it's going to make people uh more cautious and have the app itself. And I could and honestly, in my honest opinion, you should have, if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you should probably have the app anyway. It has the card data. It has the official card database, so you can look cards up for it. It has a life point counter. It has a timer on it so that you can uh start. When the round starts, you can hit the timer and everything like that if you want to. It's really good, and I think that most Yu-Gi-Oh players should have it anyway. If you have a smartphone, if you don't have a smartphone and you want to play in these events, I guess you're gonna have to, if bite the bullet and buy a cheap one just so that you can download the app.
Wonder
It
if you could still do the sign up through like computer stuff though. I imagine they're not going to cut that front off.
No, I don't. I don't imagine so that either. Also, another thing about Neuron is you can actually look up tournaments and local official OTSs in your and everything in your
Oh
area
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and stuff like
The
that.
old website did that too. They put it all into this Neuron app.
Yeah,
They
I
like put everything in there. It's like you guys couldn't find this before. Here, let's give you an app. Play with it.
yeah. What's crazy is that apparently OCG has had this app for years, and then we just got it like a year or two ago. But they had it like years before us even.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think this change is gonna be as like big and drastic as a lot of people think it is. I think if anything, it might be a little bit inconvenient for some people because they have to go buy a smartphone because they want to compete. But honestly, if you're buying like new decks constantly and playing like the new meta deck constantly and you don't have a smartphone, uh you should probably have gotten a smartphone first anyway. Yu-Gi-Oh at the end of the day is a hobby. It's not really a requirement, much like phones have become and the internet has become, uh just to like, kind of function. But that's just my opinion on it. I think overall this could be a good change, and it also will not that it has, it most of the time when we go to events they say you can use Neuron specifically. This definitely is now moving forward. I wouldn't see why you wouldn't be able to use Neuron as a life counter. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think moving forward this is probably going to be an overall positive change. But that's just my opinion. Uh, you have anything else to add?
I don't. I mean, I can see this is a good thing, but just kind of inconvenient because we've had the card system for God knows how long.
Yeah. Although it's kind of good on my end. My card is getting a little worn out.
Oh yeah, mine is too. I've had to, like a couple of the numbers. I've had to take a pen and physically put the number in there, and I have my Konami ID number memorized for the most part. So, I mean, I can still look at the faded thing and be like, "Oh yeah, that's it right there," and know exactly what it is. But there's points where you can see where I've just taken a ballpoint pen and just turned the zero back into a zero, and
Yeah.
but now I can't drop it when I'm at a vending machine and go, "Ah, crap! I dropped my nerd card."
No, but you can, I don't know, use it as, just a card in general. You can just,
Yeah.
well,
Field center.
yeah. You imagine using one of these as a field center and like you get a newer player that started playing after they introduced the system. What's that? That thing looks cool. me, and then you
Okay,
had to,
true story. True story. I have my mom's Safeway card, right?
yeah.
Um, I actually had. I went to a gas station. I scanned the Safeway card, and the person looked at me and went, "That Safeway card looks like it's older than I am, because that's a really old one." And I looked at it, looked at them. Person had to been like 18. I looked back at the card and I go, "Yeah, it's old." And he's like, "Yeah, not many people have those anymore." And I'm like, "Yep, I'm an old man now. I'm old, Yusuke."
Getting old. Freaking so old that every time there's a panic about the end of the world, I'm like, yeah. Again.
Seen it 11 times.
Yeah. I've seen this before. 11 times, as a matter of fact.
I thought my parents were morbid when they said, "Yeah, we'd stay up on the end of the world things, world wouldn't end, go to sleep." And I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, that's crazy." And now I've done it. And I'm like, "Oh, that's, God, that's crazy."
You know what's crazy? What's even crazier is that uh you're we're only 2 years apart, so I'm not even 30 yet. You're barely in your 30s, and uh and we have seen 2 millennia. We've lived through 2 millennia, 2 centuries, 4 decades, and like at least 8 end of the worlds.
Yeah, yeah. I think about it. I turned 32 this month.
I turned 30 in August, so we're both getting up there. But that's enough of these two old man rambling about, oh, they're changing my Yu-Gi-Oh. But if you like this kind of video, like, commenting, and subscribing would be greatly appreciated. Tune in every 2 weeks for the podcast, and every Friday at noon for the our Iron Yu-Gi-Oh podcast should be every other Wednesday. But if it's your birthday today, happy birthday, and of course, and as always, have a wonderful
Have a
day.